They found another body.
You recognise him?
Never seen him before.
Someone wanted us to think that he drowned in here. And who'd want to do that?
30 flood warnings have been issued across the UK after days of unprecedented rain.
Every officer's to have another officer in their field of vision at all times. Check for anyone who needs help.
Will do!
The man in the water. Can I have a description?
A hero.
Check this road and the next for anyone still in their houses.
To keep everyone safe, we're going to ferry you up to Holness Primary School with us food and shelter for the night.
I'm okay.
You've been in contaminated water and you're pregnant.
Do you want to see baby? Looking good, no problems at all.
Sophie, this series is incredible. It takes on two really strong storylines. Number one, climate change and the effects on a village. Number two, a really weird murder situation. When did it hit you the hardest, accumulated emotion of it? When you were reading it or in preps or what?
That's a good point, actually. I think interestingly, there was a lot of kind of life imitating art during pre-production and during production where, you know, we had this story and then it was really happening to people. You know, they were suddenly, the communities were getting devastated by these floods, and then people were left saying, well, what do I do now? My home's been ruined. I can't move. You know, there's going to be another flood. Who's going to help me? And it was really shocking to read these stories and then think, oh my God, we're making this TV show dealing with just this. And I know, and I think that Mick is really good for that. You know, he finds the real human element of this big conversation and distills it down into a story. But there was certainly a day on set when we were filming in the incredible set that they built for where we're walking through the Colliery Road, and it's been flooded. And it's the street, you know, the streets that you grow up seeing. We've seen them a million times on our screens. Just a normal residential street, and they flooded it with water. And what was a really clever choice from the art department and the director, the creative team, was they were really keen to have the human elements in amongst it, the detritus in amongst the scale of the flooding. So you're shocked by the scale of water, and it's shocking to see water coming up against someone's front door. And then you see like a kid's toy bike floating in amongst it, or you see someone's flip-flop, or you see a photo frame. And that was the point of the show, that these are really big conversations that we're having. And there's this thrilling murder mystery, you know, that's dark and spooky and fun to kind of unpick. But the point is, this is really happening to people, and it's people's real lives that are being destroyed in amongst it. So I think that was the kind of, we were all saying, you know, you're on set all day and you go, oh, look, there's whatever it is, there's a book floating past, or there's someone's handbag. Yeah.
Brings it right home.
Exactly.
You know, we see a lot of this over here in the southern US, but I didn't realize that the UK was so vulnerable.
I think it is. And the frustration comes in that there's, especially up north, there's a huge amount of communities that are getting hit by this extreme adverse weather, and they aren't being protected by the politicians that are elected to represent them. And that's the red tape they're getting caught up in. And that's that's kind of what the show touches on as well, you know, that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really smart way to confront this conversation about climate change, because it's so enormous, and where do you begin? And actually all you can do is bring it back down to the human element of it, and your neighbor's experience and your experience, and what does life look like,
and start trying to solve it.
Yeah.
It must have been really tough for you physically, because here you are, you're wet all the time, you're having to muscle through the water, which is hard. You have a baby processes on. I just can't believe the hardship it must have been. And it must have been cold as well. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's cold because it's the north of England, so it's always cold. And then you get wet on top of that. But yeah, I mean, I just felt very heavy, because the police gear is heavy, you know, those boots and the layers and everything. And then luckily the sort of the baby bump that I wore, they made it light for me so that I could the heaviness rather than be bogged down by it. But I was just kind of weighed down by this stuff and quite overwhelmed by, I mean, I came away with so much respect for these like stunt actors, you know, and people that do this. People think, I could hang out a helicopter like Tom Cruise, surely, and then you give it a go and you think, oh God, it's quite impressive. It's impressive enough to actually do it, but then to do it and not look like you're just hanging on for dear life is a whole skill set that I now have huge respect for. So, but it was really good. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed that side of things. You know, it's a world away from what I'm usually up to, so it was good.
Now, I know our time's tight. If you could tell me briefly, I'm so happy to see a mother-daughter relationship that's so positive.
Yeah, and funny and loving, and so I think so accurate because they're mother-daughter and they're kind of like siblings as well. They kind of bicker in the way that you do with someone that you love. You love them so completely. You're kind of free to get at each other a bit. And I loved that. I found that really appealing. And I love Lorraine Ashbourne so much. She's such a brilliant actor. So what a treat it was to get to do those scenes with her.
And what a treat to watch After the Flood. Congratulations, Sophie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
This is not a large community. We have people out there who saw what happened.
It turns out this man in the lift had died 2 days before the flood.
This is why I want to be a detective.
Guys sound like your dad.
We could have a minor criminal family on our hands. She is also a person of interest.
Yes? You have a problem with that?
This town has seen to date, in which case,
from the chamber.
You've lied from the start! You have done nothing but lie!
I'd be careful if I were you.